put our hearts together. Let's put our minds together. Let's bring this world together. See what we can do. Let's put our hearts together. Let's put our minds together. Let's bring this world together. See what we can do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Let's put our hearts together. Let's put our minds together. Let's bring this world together. See what we can do. Let's put our hearts together. Let's put our minds together. Let's bring this world together. See what we can do. Do, 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 do. Let's put our hearts together. Let's put our minds together. Let's bring this world together. See what we can do. See what we can do. Let's see what we can do.
Thank you all for joining us. We love to have all of our friends out there, all of our friends up here, so we're going to sing a song. Feel free to sing along. What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. I get high with a little help from my friends. I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. What would I do when my love is away?
Does it worry you to be alone?
How do I feel by the end of the day?
Can't tell when I'm my own.
Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. I'm gonna high with a little help from my friends. Oh, I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends.
Could you need anybody?
I just need someone to love.
Could it be anybody?
I need somebody to love.
Would you believe in love at first sight?
Yes, I'm certain that it happens all the time.
What do you see when you turn out the light?
I can't tell you, but I know it's mine. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. I get high with a little help from my friends. Oh, I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends.
Could you need anybody?
Just need someone to love.
Could it be anybody?
I just need someone to love. Get high with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get high with a little help from my friends. I'm gonna try a little help from my friends. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. With a little help from my friends.
Oh, we want to applaud loudly. Yay, 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 yay. Welcome to Wednesday Night Live. Just take a moment and join me as we give a deep breath and a sense of gratitude for being alive here together and just being able to be here with you tonight. We are so overjoyed. Thank you for joining us for this wonderful Wednesday Night Live service where we have the great Dr. Barry in the house to give a message to us tonight, and the great Reverend Michelle Scavetta is here, so it's Michelle, and Barry night. Woohoo! And of course, our wonderful musicians and and artists extraordinaire. We are delighted that they are here with us too. So tonight, before we go any farther, we're going to have a little conversation, the three of us, and talk a little bit about belonging at this time when we can feel a little disconnected from the world, a little disconnected from one another. I thought it'd be fun to explore where we're finding a sense of connection and belonging right now. So, Reverend Michelle, how about we start with you? Where are you finding belonging these days?
For me, really, it's about staying connected with my Mile High family. You know, when I found Mile High over 18 years ago, I truly felt like I belonged here. And so this time when I'm not able to be on campus with all of my people on a regular basis, staying connected, virtually has been very important to me.
Beautifully, beautifully said. Thank you. What about you, Reverend Dr. Barry?
Well, I didn't turn on my microphone.
You have to have the microphone on to have a sense of belonging here.
I think my microphone belongs on. And so, I agree with what Michelle said. We were just talking before we came out to play some music, what a gift it is for us to be able to play together because musicians love to play, and most musicians aren't gigging now. So we get to come here and play, and it's such a joy to be in each other's company and play together. And to be here, I love coming here and singing and speaking. It's always a little strange now to be in this giant room with no people in it, but I can still feel everybody here. I feel like I belong here, and I feel like you belong here too, all you people. And I'm looking forward to you being back in here. I am.
Me too. And I agree with everything that you've both said. I feel a great sense of belonging with our Mile High family, even though most of it's online, these occasional times where we get to be together, just a few of us here. But I've been noticing also a greater sense of belonging in my neighborhood, in the neighborhood where I live. And it started a couple weeks ago. My husband and I were making a trip to the store, and he's so sweet and so thoughtful. He said, "Hey, why don't you text a few of our neighbors, our elderly neighbors, and see if they need anything from the store?" And so I did, and they didn't need anything, but they were so grateful to be asked. And I noticed that we sit out on the front porch these days, and I watch people walk by. I can hear the sounds of the kids playing in the yard. I can smell at dinner time the smells of the dinner coming out of people's homes as they're cooking and watching people. There's a sense of belonging I haven't had in the whole 5 years I've lived in that neighborhood, just from being home.
That's cool.
Just
That's
being
old
home.
school right there.
It is.
That's what people used to do.
Yeah.
They used to know their neighbors.
They did used to
Yeah.
know their neighbors. I actually wrote on Facebook, it feels like how people tell me the 50s were, which
Yeah.
I wasn't alive in
Yeah.
the 50s, but there's just this kind of neighborhood friendliness about it. And I feel like I know people around my neighborhood a lot more clearer than I did before this.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the big changes that our culture made is when we turned in the front porch and we got automatic garage door openers, because everybody just came in and went into their
That's
garage
true.
and nobody saw the people next door or knew who they were. And I think that, now people are going out for walks and waving to each other, and the neighborhood itself is becoming a thing. And you see kids out playing in the street, and it's good. It's a really good thing. I think it's we're finding positives in this. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty, but there's a lot of community too, and so I think that's a great thing.
I think it feels like you kind of have to go the extra mile to have that belonging, like you're talking about, even being online. Have you found that you've had to go the extra mile with our teens to help them have a sense of belonging too?
Well, it's interesting with our teens because for them, there's been an element of, I feel like they've creating their own sense of belonging, amongst themselves and outside of our, teen services on Sunday and Wednesday. However, there is a core group of teens who are still connecting through services. And I think creating the container for when, people feel that they need an extra sense of community, they know it's there, and so I think it goes both ways. There's creating the space for people to connect, but also people needing to reach out in order to feel connected as well. So a little bit of both.
A little bit of both, yeah. Yeah, and teenagers notoriously either need a lot of connection or don't want much connection.
I
Boy,
do.
it's like pulling teeth to get it. My son's no longer a teen, but I have not been able to get much connection from him because he's off living his life, doing his thing, and that sort of thing. And that's fine. That's what we want. But it'd be nice to hear from him occasionally.
Yeah. We're connecting with each other on these little squares now.
Yes,
It's interesting because
yes.
we have all these meetings. We have all these mile-high meetings, minister meetings, and all this stuff, and we got the little squares, and now people have their virtual backgrounds and all that, so it has its own energy to it. But I like that everybody's making the effort to stay connected and to support each other and make those phone calls and reach out to people that maybe we're just wondering how they're doing, and I think that's good.
I do too, and I think that prior to this, I would have said, and still to some degree can say, for me, Zoom is an inferior connecting tool. But in this moment, where I don't get to see you all every day in person and see our beautiful staff every day in person, man, it's like a big dopamine rush to see those little faces on those squares in the staff meeting, and just to be able to see them and look at them and see that they're okay and hear about their lives. And even though I would love to be in person, it's doing it for me in terms of me being able to feel that I can see everybody, and that feels good to me. So I'm grateful for it. And still, I want to have a staff meeting soon.
Absolutely. I think staying connected through technology is huge. One of the things for me that's been different is not being able to see my kids as much during this time. Mm-hmm. But I feel like that they've taken the initiative to reach out a little bit more, more often, even if it's just to check in. And I've done that, myself too, for different people who will come to mind. I'll just make intend to reach out to them, whether it's text or a phone call, or, just to say, hey, I was thinking about you. And I think that's just so important right now.
It's very important. Good for you. Good for you. Well, get connected, beloveds. Find some sense of belonging. Allow yourself to be loved. We love you, and we're so glad that you're here with us. Let's get back to some great music. Tonight, we have Susan and Mike and Rob and Kent and Tom, and Barry's going to sing along too. So we've got so much great music. Let's get back to the music, shall we?
This is for all of my friends. When you're down and trouble and you need some love and care, and nothing is going right, just close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got a friend. Sky above you should turn dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind should begin to blow. Just keep your head together and call my name out loud, and soon I'll be knocking upon your door. 'Cause you just call out my name, and wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer or fall. All you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. Now ain't it good to know that you got a friend? When people can be so cold, sometimes they'll hurt you, they'll desert you, and take your soul if you let them. Oh, but don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running, yeah, to see you again. Oh, winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. You got a friend. Yeah. You've got a friend. You got a friend. Yeah. You got a friend.
Good work. Many thanks to Tom and the band there. Good work. Good work. So, hey, it's great to be here with you tonight. Thanks a lot for tuning in. And, we're moving into the next phase out there in the world. And so I thought it would be great to talk about a little bit about just moving into the next phase and how we might do that more intentionally, more consciously. And one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight was our tribes and moving beyond our tribes as we go into this next phase. And I know all of us are kind of born into tribes. We've got the tribes of our parents and the way that they thought, and our religious tribes that we were born into. And we've got our political tribes, we've got our social tribes, ethnic tribes, places just where we feel comfortable. And as we've found ourselves in this global pandemic here, it's caused us to look beyond those and to see a bigger picture. And, I was thinking this week some about the astronauts. I've been thinking a lot about them lately, about them going up into space and looking at the Earth from a different way. I brought a picture here that they showed. It was the first time we got to see the Earth this way, with no borders, no boundaries. And they said it was just like an instant global consciousness. Several of them spoke of this. And I think that we've kind of moved into that idea now. And as we start to open up all over the world in different places, and we're looking at it and we're trying to figure out how do we do this new thing? How do we move forward and do it in a way that supports everybody's well-being? And so that's what I wanted to talk about tonight is the concept of moving beyond our tribes. And the first thing I think that's important is that we honor our tribes. Our tribes make us feel comfortable to be around what we call like-minded people, to be around people who share our values, the people who, in our political tribes, we're working with people who believe in the same things that we do. But there's a bigger picture unfolding now too. And I think we need to be aware of that. As a spiritual center here, we've noticed that we get the opportunity to go deeper in this time like this, to deepen our connection with God, to do our spiritual practice and to feel more grounded in our spiritual practice, and to kind of go beyond politics for a while because of this situation. It's given us an opportunity to kind of keep those tribal political hostilities at bay for just a little bit. It's been a good thing. And it reminded me of a story in the Bible that I just love, and this is a story that's in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. It's a time when some
men came to Jesus with a political question, and a very much a tribal political question. And at the time when Jesus was alive, his tribe, the Jewish tribe, was being occupied by the Romans. And there was a lot of the Jewish people who wanted to revolt and overthrow the Romans. There were other Jewish people, the Jewish leaders especially, who thought that the status quo should be maintained. So somebody comes to Jesus, a man, and says, you know, you're wise, we know that you're a very smart, very just person. I just have a question for you here. Should we as Jewish people be paying taxes to the Romans? And Jesus knew that this was a trap, and that either way that he answered, he was going to be in trouble with somebody. So this is what he did. He said, let me have a coin. Does somebody here have a coin? And he said, whose face is on this coin? And they said, well, that's the emperor's face. That's Caesar's face. And he said, well, give to Caesar those things that are Caesar's, but give to God those things that are God's. What an answer that was. It says in the Bible that they all were amazed. And you got to admit that's a pretty good answer. And one of the things I just love about that is he's talking about be involved in the system that you're in, be involved in the culture that you're in, do your civic duty, but save your heart, your soul, and your mind for God. There is a bigger story unfolding here. And we don't want to settle for the cheap drama of politics when we have a real connection with the living Spirit that is available to us. So I think that's the opportunity that we have right now. We have that opportunity to stay connected with Spirit, stay connected with our spiritual discipline, stay connected with the truth of ourselves as we move into this next phase. Next thing I wanted to talk about was the concept of being for something rather than being against things all the time. One of the things that we see about tribalism is that we spend a lot of our time attacking the other tribes. That's where a lot of our focus goes, is to be in attack mode, and it's all based on fear. And there's so much uncertainty now that there is a lot of fear in our culture. But I think the thing that we can do is we can make the decision to be for something. To be for something rather than against things. You know, I had the great opportunity this summer. My wife Stephanie and I went out to California to a conference where all of our centers get together, and they, we have a lot of music and a lot of speakers. It's a place called the Silomar, which is on the Monterey Peninsula, and it was always a gathering place for the Centers for Spiritual Living, religious science. And our founder, Ernest Holmes, used to have an annual gathering out there in August, and people would come from all over the country. And this year they were celebrating to come back to Asilomar. We hadn't been there for several years, and we came back there, and we were talking about Ernest Holmes' last talk, which is called The Sermon by the Sea. It was the last time he spoke to people before he made his transition, the last time he spoke to this group of people. And so all the speakers during the week, all the ministers that got up and spoke, referenced that last talk when he was kind of saying what was important to him as he knew that he was ending his time here on earth. And this is something that he said that I thought was really important. It would be wonderful indeed if a group of persons should arrive on earth who were for something and against nothing. This would be the highest good for an organization, wouldn't it? It is in the life of the individual. Find me one person who is for something and against nothing, who is redeemed enough not to condemn others out of the burden of his soul, and I will find another Savior, another Jesus, and an exalted human being. He went on to expound about that thing, the idea of being for something and against nothing. And it certainly is a tall order. But I think that we can see culturally as we move out into this next phase that we have been a part of an idea. We're all in this together. We see those signs in the windows. We see those banners in the street. We're all in this together. We see it in the commercials. So can we be for something now? Can we be for something? To find something that we're for and to put our energy there, to put our commitment there, to put our time and our efforts there, to be a part of the political process, but to be for something, and to be clear about what we're for, to be enlightened citizens, and to do our work in the world in a positive way. And I like what he said. It starts with the individual, starts with each of us, and we make a collective by our commitment together. And the last thing I wanted to say is, as we move into this next time, we got to reach out and serve. It's an opportunity for us to reach out and serve like we never have before. We have a tremendous amount of work ahead of us. Tremendous amount of work all over this planet. There's a lot to be done. And so our service and our commitment to service is going to be the thing that pulls us through. That's going to be the place where we need to place our focus. And so I just got done reading a great book. It's a book called The Second Mountain. It was written by a guy named David Brooks, who is a columnist for the New York Times. He wrote this great book about just kind of the path that we follow through life. And he said, on our first mountain, we're striving and we're trying to make it. We're trying to make money, do better at our job, to move up in whatever we're doing. And he said, the goals on that first mountain are the normal goals that our culture endorses. To be a success, to be well thought of, to get invited into the right social circles, and to experience personal happiness. It's all the normal stuff. Nice home, nice family, nice vacations, good food, good friends, and so on. And then something happens. And all of us know that. What happens on the first mountain is oftentimes we get knocked off of it. A relationship falls apart, somebody passes, our job goes away. We just kind of lose our way. That's how most of us found our way here. We lost our way. So what he said is, at that time we fall into the valley. And what's interesting now is we've all fallen into the valley together. The whole planet's in the valley now. And in the valley is where we learn and we grow and we shed some of the things that no longer serve us. And then we start moving towards the second mountain. And that's different. The people who have been made larger by their suffering are brave enough to let parts of their old self die. Down in the valley, their motivations changed. They've gone from self-centered to other-centered. The second mountain is not the opposite of the first mountain. To climb it doesn't mean rejecting the first mountain. It's the journey after it. It's the more generous and satisfying phase of life. That's the opportunity that's in front of us now. To look for spiritual solutions that include everybody. To stay connected and to give the best part of ourselves to God. To look there for our guidance. And we can do this. We are indeed in this together. That's the good news. So I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're with us. And Tom said that I could sing another song. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk over here. I hope you'll follow me.
Now we've made it to the future, and everybody's got a camera, and we can watch the world develop scene by scene. Now that we can see each other, who will we become together? Can we find room on each other's screen? Now we're staring down into our hands, talking with our thumbs, but it's so hard to look each other in the eye. These machines will never see us, give us what will free us. For this we must look inside. We can build a world together that works for everyone. Let this be the place we start. Let's build bridges, not walls, round our hearts, my friend. Let's build bridges, not walls, round our hearts. Now it's politics and television and all this strange communication with a steady dose of high anxiety. We've been focusing on our divisions, losing sight of all our visions. It just comes down to you and me. We can find a place to make our stand, still reach out an open hand, look beyond our differences and see. When we take the time to look around, let our hearts slow down, we'll see that we've got all that we need. In every tribe and nation, there are stories of great masters who show us how to walk a path to God. And if we follow in their footsteps, we will learn to love each other, find a truth we all can stand on. 'Cause we can build a world together that works for everyone. Let this be the place we start. Let's build bridges, not walls, around our hearts, my friend. Let's build bridges, not walls, around our hearts. Let's build bridges, not walls, around our hearts, my friend. Let's build bridges, not walls, around our hearts, around our hearts.
I just love that multi-talented Dr. Barry Ebert. He sings, he preaches, he knows all sorts of stuff about kids and families. The only thing he can't do is dance. I think we've discovered that dancing may not be his biggest talent or gift. But it's great that he does so much else. And we're really grateful again to have you here with us, and thought we would talk a little bit just for a minute about some of our favorite things about this beautiful place, Mile High Church. So what's something great you think that's going on these days around here, Dr. Barry, besides that great talk you just gave?
One of the things that I like that's going on, we have this great youth ministry, which I'm kind of fond of, and we do a service after the Sunday service in the big house here. We do a service online, and it's cool. I get to play some music on that. We do a little lesson every week, and they're posting stuff, and it's so cool seeing the kids in the little squares. So we'll be singing Surely the Presence, or we'll be singing Hop to It, or some of the songs we sing at day camp, and I can see all the kids doing the hand signals online and everything. And it's just a great feeling. I love it. And I'm just looking so forward to having kids running around this place again. I really miss that, and I know it's going to happen.
Yeah,
I know it's going to happen.
Me too. What about for you, Reverend Michelle?
For me, one of the things that I love right now is just all of the opportunities to stay connected in, whether it's, through Zoom, through phone calls, but especially all of the groups that have been able to continue during this time, whether it's the recovery group or the healing group or the Sacred Sisters. Our teens meet, twice a week, as well as our middle school group. Our Next Gen's been meeting once a week. And so just continuing to create the space for connection and community, even if we're not able to be here, in person with one another. It's just been huge, I think.
That's great. Yeah, I think we kind of like each other, and I think we recognize that we do belong to each other, and we belong to you, and you belong to us. And one of the things that has just touched me so deeply, we've mentioned it a number of times, is that I look in on my office occasionally when I'm here for Wednesday night or for a Sunday morning, and I will have stacks of letters of gratitude, of people just writing in to us saying, thank you for being there for me right now. I never really watched online, and now I'm so grateful that I am doing that. And thank you for those classes you're offering online, and thank you for staying with us. It's just, I literally have a stack like this on my desk of notes that are just so beautiful and touching. So we are very grateful that you continue to be here with us, that you continue to send love our way, and that you continue to support yourself and support this ministry so beautifully. And so this is the time in our service where we welcome and invite those of you who care to give financially into this service that is this evening and this wonderful community that is Mile High Church. We invite you to continue to support us and uplift us, as well as uplift yourself, because we all know that giving and generating and sharing, that was part of your talk, is a really good thing. It helps us to awaken and stay alive and well. So thank you for all that you are giving to us. If you would like to give financially to Mile High Church and continue to support us, you can do so by going and texting to us at 45888, and you put in Mile High and the amount that you wanted to give to us. You can go to our website at milehighchurch.org and make a donation through the contribution page. You'll see a little place to click up in the top right-hand area that says give or donate. And you can also just send a check through snail mail. We do have staff that's going in and clearly opening mail, and we are so grateful for your ongoing support. So let's just take a moment and give thanks for this Mile High Church, give thanks for this opportunity to share and give, and know that as we give, we are blessed, this place is blessed, and the joyous activity of circulation continues to express itself. We are so blessed, and so it is.
Ramblers in the wilderness, we can't find what we need. We get a little restless from the searching, we get a little worn down in between. Like a bull chasing a matador, is a man left to his own schemes. Everybody needs someone beside them, shining like a lighthouse on the sea. Brother, let me be your shelter, never leave you all alone. I can be the one you call when you're low. Brother, let me be your fortress when the night winds are driving on. Be the one to light the way, bring me home. Face down in the desert now, there's a cage wrapped around my heart. I found a way to drop my keys when my failures fell. Now my hands don't reach that far. I ain't made for the rivalry, I can never take the world alone. I know that in my weakness I am strong, but it's your love that brings me home. Brother, let me be your shelter, I'll never leave you all alone. I can be the one you call when you're low. Brother, let me be your fortress when the night winds are driving on. Be the one to light the way, bring you home. And when you call and need me near, say, where have you gone? Brother, I'm right here. And when those days, when the sky begins to fall, you're the blood of my blood, we can get through it all. Brother, let me be your shelter, never leave you all alone. I can be the one you call when you're feeling low. Brother, let me be your fortress
when the night winds are driving on. Be the one to light your way, bring you home. Brother, let me be your shelter, never leave you all alone. I can be the one you call when you're feeling low. Brother, let me be your fortress when the night winds are driving on. Be the one to light the way, bring you home. Be the one to light the way, bring you home.
And as we just move into this time of prayer, I invite you to take a breath with me. And let's just turn within. Recognizing the divine presence that is right here, right now. Breathing us, supporting us, expressing through us, recognizing all of the ways that God shows up around us. Through the sunlight, through the plants, the animals, through laughter, through connection. God is the very breath that we breathe. And there is no limit to God's expression. For God is all that there is, and so much more. This divine presence outpictures as community, as oneness, as possibility. And I am so grateful to know that right where I am, in any given moment, God is expressing itself through me, as me, expressing itself as love, as gratitude, as the truth that I am one with this divine presence. The truth that there is no place or no situation where God is not. God is the ever-present being, the breath of life, the extraordinary light that we see in each and every one that we meet. I'm so grateful for the connection, for the strength, for the courage that this present imbues in me, especially in the moments where I may not be able to feel them. I can lean into that divine presence that is always there to remember. I can lean into that truth and know that I am supported. I am whole. I am one with the one. And so right here and now, as we come together as one global family, we take time to see that divine presence, that divine light, that divine truth in each and every person that we come into contact with. We see it in the loved ones that we are home with. We see it through the screens, through the voicemails, through the calls, even through the texts. We feel that connection, we feel that love, and we know that we're not alone. We know that we belong here, now. We recognize that we have been called here by divine appointment, right here. The world needs our light. The world needs the extraordinary gifts that we have come here to share. And so as we continue to find our own sense of connection, be it through nature, through reaching out to friends, through turning within and just remembering our own divine light, we strengthen that vibration that lifts up the entire planet. As we support one another during this time, each act of kindness ripples into the world and supports people in ways that we may never even realize. And so as we continue to lean into that divine light, as we continue to lean into the love that surrounds us, may our light continue to shine even brighter. May our love be felt around the world. And during this time right now, I invite you to speak your name if you are feeling called to connect to a deeper sense of the divine within you. Speak your name or speak the name of a loved one who may need a little greater sense of connection right now. Knowing that as we connect with one another, we continue to build and grow and strengthen our tribe of humanity, our tribe of love, of peace. And perhaps you or someone you love may be experiencing a sense of dis-ease, and perhaps they can use, or you can use, a balm of healing light. So I invite you to speak your name or the name of a loved one aloud and send that ripple of healing, love, and light to that person or to you if you need a greater experience of healing right here. For the truth is that there is a divine blueprint of wholeness, of perfection, of health that is already available to us, that is already within us. And so we allow that love, that light, that healing to ripple out. And we experience it now. And if you or a loved one is experiencing or would like to experience a greater sense of community and relationship, I invite you to speak your name aloud or the name of a loved one and just know with me that right where we are, we belong. And that the loving relationships around us, we open to them right here and right now. We see the love within ourselves, and we allow that mirror to be mirrored back to us by the people around us. And if you or a loved one is interested in being more in the flow of the divine abundance that is readily available, even in times where it seems as though there's maybe a sense of separation or a sense of lack, let us right now speak our name aloud and bask in that flow of divine prosperity, of divine love, of divine connection, experiencing greater love, experiencing greater prosperity, knowing that the resources that we need are readily available to us. And as we turn within, we are guided to that next perfect step to support our greater expansion, to support our greater experience of love, of light, of wholeness, of possibility. And so I just wrap all of the names that have been spoken aloud, all of the extraordinary beings who are able to be here with us this evening, wrapping each one of us in this blanket of unconditional love, of support, of recognition that we belong, that we matter, that we are here to make a powerful difference in the world. And I am just so grateful for all of the opportunities that we have to stay connected. I'm so grateful for all of the opportunities that we have to serve one another, to help uplift the world, to help uplift our own lives. Grateful for this time, grateful for this truth, fully knowing that all that has been said is already done. Before it's even spoken, it is already done in the mind of God. And so I just simply let go, and I let God do God's work, knowing that it is good and very good. And I simply allow it to be. And so it is. And so thank you so much for being here this evening. If you would like prayer support, please join us online on milehighchurch.org/prayer, and our practitioners would be happy to support you in prayer this week. Also, remind you to join us this Sunday as Dr. Michelle shares her heart and we celebrate Mother's Day. And then next Wednesday, 7 o'clock right here online, Reverend Jackie Harris will be speaking and sharing her extraordinary gifts. Thank you so much.
I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. And I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. There's no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.